Local news delivered to you every day on News Talk 970 WKHM.
Good morning. I'm Greg O'Connor. 6 after the hour. Here's what's happening in the WKHM News Center. Jackson Police Chief Matt Hines said he had the utmost respect for former JPD officer Chad Diermeyer, who was killed last Thursday in the mass shooting in Virginia. Diermeyer, of course, as you know, was a Virginia State Police trooper.
Shocking development when you heard about Virginia.
Yes, very shocking. It took me a minute when I got the phone call yesterday. It took me a minute to kind of have it register and realize what had happened.
Can you tell our listeners about Chad?
Chad was a great employee. We hired him in 2008, and unfortunately had to lay him off with 7 other officers in 2011. But Chad was one of those employees that you really were looking for. Hardworking, pleasant, easy to talk to, very professional, and just loved police work, and he certainly is going to be missed. Good
family man, too?
Yeah, very good family man. Married, 2 kids. Our hearts go out to the family. It's going to be tough on them and the days and weeks and months to come.
These are situations, Matt, I guess all police officers face. Here's a guy you got no clue what you're running into.
That's correct. And, when you come on the job, that's always a risk, and you kind of push that off in the back of your mind and focus on your daily responsibilities and trying to get the job done. But it's always there. It's always a worry, and you try to minimize the risk that you put yourself in. But when it happens, it really brings it home.
Too many guns out there, Matt?
A lot of guns, and many of those guns are on the street because they're stolen, because gun owners aren't properly securing them, and so we end up having to deal with them on the street.
The chief, Matt Hines, area Congressman Tim Walberg, on the loss of Trooper Diermeyer.
And lost his life performing duty for the people. So as a Columbia High School graduate and Jackson native, former police officer in Jackson City, and it's tragic when it hits any home, but it's certainly tragic when it comes this close to home in Jackson.
We're almost becoming numb to these anymore. It's every day this is going on.
And let's remember, these are law enforcement officers. We've heard a lot of things about so-called bad cop. We've heard some of the trials that have gone on, and it's caused a lot of foment in our country. Remember, there have actually been more police officers, law enforcement officers, that have been killed in the last couple of years than in any significant nature in prior years. And these men and women are putting their lives on the line, not knowing what each day will mean as they step out of their house and they say goodbye to their families, like Chad Diermeyer did to his 2 children and his wife. And we owe them a great debt of gratitude, and in overwhelming cases, we owe them the respect that they deserve.
Area Congressman Tim Walberg. An ex-girlfriend of the gunman at the Virginia bus station said Friday he frequently expresses hatred toward police, once nearly choked her to death after she broke up with him. James Brown III, from just outside of Chicago, 34 years old, had a very lengthy criminal record. And we get more with ABC's David Curley.
Police say that the gun was purchased legal a little more than a year ago that was used to kill the trooper on Thursday, but they say it wasn't purchased by the killer, James Brown III. They do not know yet how he came into possession of that weapon. James Brown III from Aurora, Illinois, outside of Chicago. He was actually traveling to Chicago through this bus station on Thursday, a long rap sheet. He had used a firearm in a crime. He had been convicted of domestic abuse and drug charges as well. He had spent time in prison. As the folks in Kane County, Illinois said, he had quite a record. This is a counterterrorism interdiction unit within the State Patrol here in Virginia, and the trooper was a new member. They had had a classroom session in the morning, in the afternoon. That was their practical session. There were some members of the 16 or 17 troopers that were involved. There were veterans that had been there before. This trooper was one of the first times he had been involved with this training effort. We got a little more clarity of what happened inside the bus station. The police were in a training mission looking for problems. The suspect, the killer, came up to his bag. He had 143 rounds of .40 caliber ammunition in that bag. He walked away from the bag. The officer engaged him. All of a sudden, the killer pulled the gun, fired multiple times at the trooper.
ABC's David Curley in Richmond, Virginia. From the weekend, Jackson County Sheriff's Department asking for your help finding a missing Norvell Township man